Hi everybody, my name is Rani and I'm a consultant here at Education Elements. In this video, we're going to talk about user-centered data displays and hopefully get you thinking about how to display and visualize your data with your end user, whether that is your students, your families, or your teachers, in a way that demystifies and democratizes it. As is implied by the title, this video is aligned to the user-centered element in our essential elements of data culture. During my time as an AP Calculus teacher, I always wondered about putting my students' data in front of them. It seemed like everybody around me, including my instructional coach, principal, and other school leadership, kept talking about student data ownership as the holy grail of classroom culture. But as a novice teacher, I balked at the seemingly insurmountable task. It seemed like I was collecting mounds of data every day. Attendance, quizzes, discipline, exit tickets. Too much to even know what to do with. How was I supposed to take all of this data and make meaning of it for myself, much less my students? As educators, we are often faced with the challenge of communicating the wealth of data that we collect every day. How much is too little? How much is too much? In my experience in data visualization, the challenge with centering the user experience is often not which data, but how. Here at EE, we believe in the power of simple displays to communicate the data. But the problem is we often have trouble coming up with the right question to ask and the right story to tell. I want you to close your eyes for a moment and think about all the charts and graphs that you looked at in the past 24 hours. Do you remember any? Did you think any of them were compelling? Did any of them move you in any significant way? Earlier this summer, I remember clicking on the link to the New York Times visual article, How the Virus Won, and I remember being floored. I was speechless at how the article and the visual was able to convey the weight of the story of the pandemic. Now, not every data visualization that we see is going to inspire us dramatically. In fact, most of them will probably not. But what lessons can we learn from the most powerful ones? Failing to put the user first in their interaction with your data display is a disservice not only to your students, families, and teachers, but also to you and the work and the effort that you've put into curating your data. At its core, data visualization is a form of communication, storytelling. When your data display is user-centered, it implies that you understand your audience, you've empathized with them, and you are using the visual to speak about the data in a common language, which everybody will understand. How do we build user-centered displays? First, decide who your user is. Is it a classroom full of 12th graders, or is it 5th graders? Is it the PTA? Is it all of the principals in your district? How visually fluent are they? Once you figure that out, you also want to decide if you're expecting them to explore the data and come up with their own conclusions, or if there's a singular story that you want to highlight. Once you've chosen your audience, think about the point that you're trying to make. Is it to celebrate the average reading growth of all of the students in your class? Or is it to showcase walkthrough data to your instructional coaches and teachers? Let's imagine for a moment that it's the latter. What's the story here? Are you trying to highlight an inconsistency in a particular teaching practice? Or are you trying to just compare walkthrough trends and impressions across grade levels or schools? Once you've chosen your audience and you've articulated the point and the story of your data, spend some time to think about the best visual type that will drive the narrative of your data. If your data is simple enough and the takeaway is simple enough to be displayed in one chart, consider a static chart like a bar graph. If there's two metrics that you want to highlight, or maybe a trend and a metric, consider two concurrent charts, or perhaps a chart and a big number. Or if there are many metrics that you're measuring across different contexts, like for example, across grade levels or across schools, you might consider building a dynamic table with a simple filter feature. In a video about data displays and data visualization, I'd be remiss not to quote Dr. Edward Tufte, the father of modern data visualization, who in his seminal book, The Visual Display of Quantitative Information, said, Graphical excellence is that which gives to the viewer the greatest number of ideas in the shortest time, with the least ink in the smallest space. In short, the less clutter, the better. Finally, go back to the user context building that you did at the beginning and put yourself in their shoes. Is your data display comprehensible? It's important to calibrate your expectations on what your users will find easy to understand. So in this final step, you might consider testing out the visual with some of your colleagues. Do they read the same story that you're trying to tell? Now here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Think about the most current or relevant data display in your context and consider the following questions. How have you felt successful in ensuring this display is user-centered? And what has been challenging for you in this process? In this video, we talked about user-centered data displays and discussed a framework that you can use to ensure that your displays are user-centered. Thank you so much for watching. For more content from Education Elements, follow us on Twitter or check out our website. And as always, please make sure to like and subscribe. Bye.